And we're back. Series tied 1-1. Cloud9 were able to close that one out in a kind of risky game too right there. We were getting to late game ACL territory, but Draku, we were talking about before coming live, and you were saying, I mean, they were able to get the Barons, they were able to stack up the Dragons, and then through their early advantages, hold on to that long enough that ACL didn't get to like just Thanos level where they can snap everybody out of existence. So how did Cloud9 get to that point? Through your eyes, through your kind of recollection of the game.
Yeah, well, there was an early game skirmish where I think Swain got a double kill, and then it kind of snowballed off that, and Lost was just constantly pumping out DPS as Zeri in fights, and I think it was pretty clean.
Yeah, beatdown. There was one kind of close fight, though, where Lost wasn't able to get as much damage done. Towards the end, though, those Sky's Descent were kind of crazy. Where were you at on the ACL time? I know the casters were kind of split during the game. It's like, are we in that territory yet? Are we not? Where were you?
I mean, I did believe like ACL is an incredibly powerful scaling tool. But when you get to those later stages of the game, 2-3 items, you have access to the Sky's Descent. There is always that possibility of the turnaround. But for one thing, Cloud9 did a really good job, especially Tomio. The casters credited him, but I want to do the same just to talk about how he as a player throughout the split isn't someone we've been giving a lot of spotlight to because he's developing a little newer to this level of play compared to the rest of his team. But now in the finals, in that second game, he stepped up. Like you said, Draco, he put Spawn out of the game, and he was just making so many great plays from start to finish, including that Baron steal. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, right at the end there. That was clutch.
It was.
Also, Diplex on the Swain again. I mean, we've seen the LeBlanc, we've seen the Swain. Like, everything he was pulling out against Team Liquid, he's pulling out in this series, too. Yep. What do you think about Dignitas' ban so far? Do they need to start banning out Diplex champs?
I think they do need to respect the Swain because if you look at Dignitas' comps, most of their champions, they kind of want to go in, except kind of like Insanity. Insanity is usually like, scaling, or like playing Vega and ACL.
Sure.
But like everyone else is like, they kind of want to go in, like the Draven.
Yeah.
And then like the, Hoon likes Renekton and Cassante, like all these champions always go in. So.
I mean, that game, of course, on the Ornn, I think that it was... it's a good engage, but then the biggest thing was Draven's then running up into Swain range to try and follow up on a lot of damage.
Like all of them as well.
Yeah. So some of the fights were a little tough for Dignitas. Obviously, they weren't able to pick up that win, 1-1 on the series. So that means we're gonna at least have 2 more games here. Based on how that was going, I thought maybe Dignitas would bring it back and it'd be a 2-0 to start things off. But that means we can have a little bit more fun here. On the desk. We got you in with us in our studio right now at the Casa de Casters, Draku. So we're going to have a little bit more fun with another game show here that we're calling NACL Feud. Now, I sent out many DMs yesterday with a lot of links attached to them, so let's see how my Twitter's doing. It might be shadow banned again. But to players and casters in NACL, asking them a couple of questions. I took all their responses. It was a survey, and I've put together a little game show for Beatdown and Dragku to play. So, Dragku, you've never had the rules explained to you before, so I'll explain it to you, as well as everybody at home. It's going to be a little different than the standard format. You're each going to take turns with a question that I asked all the players and the casters. And you will have an opportunity to try and guess all of the responses that had a decent number of, shared responses. And if you get 3 wrong, then you are out, and the other person has a chance to steal. You'll take turns, and then we're going to do a rapid fire round at the end. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's have some fun. Now, we did try to build a table that I was going to say let's scrap it, but Dragku really wants to show off his arts and crafts skills because this was Dragku's creation. So, Dragku, let's get the table over here real quick. Beatdown, while we're doing this, tell a story to the audience.
No, I have something perfect. Cynthia, let's take the time. I want to talk about Diplex's Swain one more time. So we actually pulled a clip that I would love to throw up for the moment and just talk about how impactful that champion is. Oh, let's go. I love it. See, the big thing here in this fight, and he showed this yesterday, is that we talk about the Ornn and the Aurelion Sol and everything, how it set up the team fight. But look at what Diplex is doing by himself. He is zoning 3 members of Dignitas away with that Swain ultimate, that Demonic Ascension, and he just doesn't die. He controls so much space on this pick and was such a big part of why, of course, as well as Tomio, that they were able to get the win there and why he really prevented that Aurelion Sol from coming online.
Yeah, this fight in particular was the one that I think Diplex kind of hard carried in a way. I mean, everybody obviously is playing their role, but nobody can walk up. Like, look at where Diplex is. He's 1v4 against most of the carries. Even Ornn couldn't walk up to try and follow up on that the play from Dignitas. So you can tell that we're doing great over here on the host desk side. We're just going to try our best to make this work with the desk that we have set up, okay? So, the way NACL Feud works here is I'm going to take my rightful position by the desk. I have a couple of the questions that I'd ask the players, etc. I'm just going to hold the mic because at this point, it's the only way it's going to work. Dragco, I'm going to have you go first. So, the question up first on NACL Feud is what is the best pre-finals hype music for players to listen to? Give me an answer. Give me a genre. Best pre-finals genre of hype music.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like for NACL, it's gonna be like K-pop.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
For NACL.
I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, yeah.
K-pop for NACL. This is the most. We're gonna have to move this desk. This is definitely not working for the frame. For NACL, K-pop is not actually on there. It was not. There was one vote for it, but that's not enough representation.
Yeah.
All right, give me another guess. That's one strike against you.
Rap.
Rap. Let's see rap.
This is so scuffed.
It's great.
Oh, no, you can't even see it.
No, but
oh, boy.
I mean, you went for it.
We did not
so
go through the framing.
there, you know?
Yes, rap is on there. Absolutely. Ding, 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 ding. Congratulations.
Wow.
Woo.
That's number 3.
There were 3 responses with rap. Now, can you give me another guess for a genre for pre-finals hype music?
EDM.
You're thinking EDM?
Yep.
All right, Drag Crew, I'm going to say we got to move the table. It's not working for the framing right now.
Oh, man.
But I can say absolutely EDM was the number 1 choice, getting you 6 points.
Damn. Wait, so that was the number 1.
Number 1.
All right. Now, I guess I got to stall for a bit while they're doing this. Numi says they said K-pop as the NACL pre-finals hype. They said that for me. I mean, if you're the one...
They said that for Numi, absolutely.
That, which I believe it would be you, so that kind of checks out. And also, you may not have seen it, Kangas, but Cubby did tweet out, what is Kangas doing to our house? So be careful.
Oh, no, I've destroyed their living room. It is completely butchered. All right. So I believe we're back into frame. Here we go. This is a little more reasonable now. Yes. A little more reasonable.
Like
okay. So I know the table was great, but we couldn't quite get it done. All right, give me another one. You have 1 strike and you have 1 answer.
Wait, what does that mean? So I have another guess?
You have more guesses. Yeah, you're gonna keep going until you get 3 strikes.
Well, is EDM and hardstyle in like the same category?
Yeah, they would be in the same category.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I feel like what genre is like? I don't know. R&B, hip hop.
R&B, hip hop.
Is that a genre?
That was not included. Oh, not included. So that's 2 strikes against you. Beat down. Be thinking. You're on deck. If he gets 1 more wrong, you could steal.
I don't know any other type of music. Like rock, I guess.
Rock. Oh. Rock and metal is represented on there. Another 3 points. I'll tell you, the last 2 might not be what you're expecting. I'll give you a little hint.
Jazz. Feel like in the beat.
And that is not correct. Beatdown. Can you steal one of the last 2 genres of music that players and casters submitted as their preferred pre-finals hype music?
Oh boy. So we said EDM, rap, rock. You guessed jazz. What else was guessed? Those is strikes.
Nothing.
I don't remember the other ones that were guessed.
Nothing.
I don't have to tell you that answer, Beatdown. You got to be tracking this yourself.
All right. I don't even. I'm trying to think like what even are. Okay, I have 3 guesses. I have 3 strikes, right?
No, you only have 1. You got to give it right now. 3, 2, 1.
Sea shanties.
Sea shanties.
What? Is that even a genre?
It is
we
now.
have sea shanties as a guess. That is not correct. At the bottom, anime OSTs.
Oh my God, why do I say that?
Anime original soundtracks was listed on there. And in number 2, with the second most, was League music.
That's not
League
a
of Legends
genre.
music.
That's not a genre though.
Well,
That's so
it's
great.
what the players responded with. I don't know what to tell you. It's a survey. I can't enforce
Because like I
rules.
listen to League music and anime OSTs, before.
Look, all I'm
Okay.
saying is that I just sent the question. This is what they gave me. All right, Beatdown, you're up next.
Okay.
Next question. Name something a player would have a nightmare about before their finals match.
Tabbing out at level 1 and dying.
Tabbing out at level 1 and dying. That is very specific. And unfortunately, that is not correct. That is not fully correct. Although there was, weirdly enough, somebody that said that. Was that you that put that one in, Beat? That might have been you. All right. Give me another one.
So what, are these is like really vague? Like, I don't know what
I asked the question to the players, and they gave me responses. Try and get yourself in their head.
They slept in and missed the finals.
Slept in and missed the finals. Being late or waking up late. That was the #1 concern from players as to something they would have a nightmare about before. You know, you're nervous. You're going into a big day, and you're like, I overslept.
True.
Yeah. You ever had that happen, Draku?
No, I've actually had like less sleep because I'm like so nervous.
Yep. That's another one.
Definitely.
Beatdown, you have one strike. You got a couple more guesses.
All right. So pre-finals nightmare.
Yep.
Waking up late.
Something a player would have a nightmare about before their finals match.
Computer breaks, or like, hardware malfunction. Something
Okay,
like that.
computer break, hardware malfunction. I'm gonna say, I don't think that there's one that fully. Yeah, there's not one that fully encapsulates that. All right, you got 2 strikes. You got one more.
They forget their login for Tournament Realm.
What? Forget these are so weirdly specific. And unfortunately, that's not correct as well, Beatdown. But I like it that your head is like, he's really getting into the players' heads here.
I mean, there's no way someone would actually forget their login.
That's what the nightmare is about,
Probably like
That's why
copy and
it's
paste
so
it everywhere.
scary.
Draku, you have a chance to steal. You get a chance to steal.
Well, I mean, a nightmare for me is like probably having like a stomach problem or like a stomach bug before my finals. Like so
Okay.
nervous that
Feeling nervous, feeling bad.
imagine like you just
He said sick. He said
number
sick.
2.
Let's not do any
You gotta check
reaching.
like a number 2.
Getting
It's like-
sick.
That's what he said, yeah.
Unfortunately,
Wait,
that is
really? That's
not
not anyone else's
represented
nightmare?
on the board.
Dude, that's my nightmare.
That's your nightmare.
I went into my own head.
Well, sorry. Apparently, our players do not have the
What
same
order?
mindset. Let's go through the actual answers. We have getting 3-0'd. There were a couple responses for getting 3-0'd. That was a very popular one.
Yeah.
Next up, inting. Just straight up inting, playing poorly, not doing well for your team. I also had 3 responses. We also had missing smite or losing Baron.
Oh.
I kind of clumped that together because there was like one response that was about Baron. I was like, it's kind of the same thing, right? Having that stolen away from you. So missing smite there. And then finally, just getting solo killed. Just straight up dying in a 1v1, getting solo killed by your opponent. I mean, Hoon's in this finals. I think everyone's looking at him a little nervous right now. Maybe fake
To
out.
be honest, I think my question was a lot easier.
The
I think
music
mine was like-
compared
I'm
to
not
this one.
gonna say
I think
anything. The integrity of the game. Kangas made it. I trust the. Even though it's.
Yeah.
Nah, you got destroyed, kid.
I think this
wow.
the whole bit ran smoothly. There was no issues with it at all. Fully well thought out and fledged out.
Yeah.
Well, we would go through the rapid fire round, but we are hearing that Pick and Ban is ready, so there's no reason to waste time because you're all here to watch the game. So we're gonna throw it back over to the casters. Get ready for game number 3.
You can waste my time anytime, Kangas.
Yeah, that's why you're roommates.
Yeah, exactly. I have to. He has to waste my time. But incredible stuff for our halftime show. But that means we got to get to the nitty gritty here. We got to get to our third game,
It's
gentlemen.
very tough standing at the
Yeah, I don't think you should do
No,
that.
I'll
You're gonna get a cramp, my friend. You're gonna get a cramp. But we have had 2 back and forth games. We've had the first game for Dignitas, full frontal press. It worked out for them. Game 2, Cloud9 adapted a little bit of their strategy in draft, but also in game, and it worked out really well for them, Cubby.
And guess what? Game 3, another team picking blue side. As
No
Dignitas,
way!
They swap back again,
Crazy!
and we'll see what kind of adjustments C9 makes. I am expecting to see an Elise ban. I think that Elise,
Okay.
game 1, I feel like Dignitas bought that ban for the rest of the series, or at least till later on until C9 feels like they have to play into it again or ban something else. Elise was game breaking game 1, so
Yeah,
I think it's going to
absolutely
change
was.
things up a lot.
It's also even better on the blue side than it is on the red side, right? It feels so easy to go for a lot of the dives because you do have the red buff on your bottom side of the map. But we don't see a ban
We
this
don't
time
see a
around.
ban.
Dignitas go right on back to it. It was crucial for their game 1 victory and getting so many leads for Dignitas.
Yeah, and catching us up on those bans, we did get that Zaya ban, the Sejuani, the Wukong from Dignitas on blue side with the Varus, the Caitlyn, and the Vi for Cloud9. Wait on this first pick for Dignitas.
Yeah,
They
I
could
like
also recon and wait, or they could thresh and wait. We have seen those openers from Dignitas as Diamond is comfortable with each. 4 blinds, but Dig, they are thinking a little bit more. Of course, this was in Elise in game 1,
There
and it
you
will be Elise again in
go.
game 3.
Well, that does mean that Tomio very likely to be going back over to the Maokai and Zeri coming through. Looks to be a very similar draft to our game 1. Not a big surprise there. Tomio has been playing well. There's been a lot of talk about Tomio, right? Everybody
Yeah.
talks about this guy as being such a strong solo queue player, but has kind of struggled to always make a name for himself. But this is a series where Tomio is playing very well, having a great trigger pull, whether that's other people telling him to do it or he's finding opportunities themselves. The result is the same.
I really liked the looks that we saw from Tomio in the last game, and so far we have a rinse and repeat of the draft from game 1.
was a Braum.
But the big change, yes, this was a Braum, but also the big change in game 2 was when C9 was on blue side, this was a B3 Renekton. Do they go Renekton here? Try to at least eliminate a little bit of Hoon's
There you
champion
go.
pool. So that will be the swap. Now, this does mean that there is going to be a hit at support. So Zeyzal going to lose a couple more champions. If they want to remove the Annie, that could be big, as that is something that Zeyzal and C9 have proven they can play.
Yep.
Also, Rakan, any counters that you have in the Thresh, if they really want to go away at Blitzcrank, could not be bad either. But C9 going to hit Hoon's champion pool, trying to protect this Renekton a little bit more.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that Dignitas have not had a whole lot of success with Insanity on the Annie either. So
Yep.
the big question will be, what does Dignitas want to do? This is a lot of early game, and with the Gnar already taken away, I still feel as though Hoon's counterpicking to Renekton is going to be massive for the outcome.
I don't think they have to ban Kennen, though, because last game they took away the Kennen plus the Vigar. I think given the Elise, you aren't as keen to taking away that Kennen for this Renekton matchup. I mean, it's still playable, but I would rather see that Vigar taken away again. I think Vigar, again, with this comp, you have the same core where you were able to chain up that CC that Dignitas had. So I think removing that would just be a big headache taken away.
Yeah, and it would be something that, Dignitas are definitely trying to rely on. But we do look at these second focuses for our second phase of bans, and it is the Nautilus banned by Dignitas, so some of that forward engage, maybe some of that decision-making at least
There it
banned away
is.
from Zeyzal, and there's the Vigar ban. Maybe you're just on one today.
So we'll have to see exactly what they do choose to pivot from here, right? It does feel like a Syndra can do a very similar thing when Sandy has not played it so far in this tournament, and as the Blanc ban does come through again, it makes me think something closer to maybe a Talia or going back to the Dragon.
I like the Talia call. Also, Tristana on the table. Triss does look pretty good here.
It was banned away in game 1 as
Yeah,
well.
you can have push for the Elise, and you feel good in the Maokai plus Renekton, just, pumping up that attack speed and getting as many Kraken Slayer procs as possible on the Triss. So, another option for Insanity that we have seen him pilot, but they still find the Braum in the back half. Just wanted to take away the Nautilus. So, again,
There you go. Okay.
very similar core. And, of course, that Braum, it is tough to dive, but it is diveable.
Yeah.
So, again, if we see XU go for that early bot clear, there is no Renekton to play towards this time around.
True. But there's still a lot of other things. It definitely makes me wonder when we start seeing these kind of compositions. I mean, the Tristana does make a lot of sense, but I kind of want to look at a Gwen here, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest in a Renekton. You need the scale. I will say the Braum, you can't Ornn anymore. You feel really bad having to call the Forge God into the Braum. So that could be a swap that we see from Insanity.
It won't be a Dwagon diff today.
What is this Shen hover?
okay.
It's happening every time. What's going on there?
Inner Peace, I don't know. Maybe it was a pick that Zeyzal and Diamond innovated back at C9. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they just want to play towards
Feels like
bot
a
more.
call out. Maybe it's a threat to Hoon.
It would actually be kind of sick, though. I mean, they'd have a lot of safety there. But
I like
this
it.
is also something that was banned away previously. It is the Jace that makes it through for Hoon.
I do like it. This makes the mid game so scary for C9. Yes, Braum can block some of those empowered shock blasts. That is
Only some of them.
high value, but this is a matchup where you can win into Renekton, and also when you have winning jungle on the side of the Jace, that does mean that, you know, it's a little bit easier to try and win that 1v1, as I really do favor Jace in that 1v1 straight up.
But the Jace into the Gragas is definitely not as exciting. It does feel like a position where you can actually like pivot the Renekton back into the mid lane. I don't expect him to do it, but we're also now committed at this point to both sides of the map. We're really caring about this top side 1v1. You're expecting XU to be going up there. You're expecting Tomio to be going up there. And this can really drastically change how this matchup actually goes. If Hoon gets put behind, you don't have to worry about the poke as much.
I think this is a game for lost. Like, Diplex on this Gragas, he buys so much space. And again, that burst engage, now that follow-up from the Nature's Grass could be really big, just trying to break the poke and the pick setup that Dignitas have on their side. So Diplex, that's definitely not a pick where, you know, he's taking it for lane to win the lane. He's taking it to try and break the game plan for Dignitas, shifting into that mid game. And again, that focus on team fighting for C9, we do see it.
And again, last game, it was a difference in how Tomio approached the map, not just the pick. It's been the Maokai every single time for Cloud9, but they have found something that worked from last game. It's about thriving off the momentum of game 2 into game number 3 as well.
Also, so many beefy frontliners for this Seri to play behind. That is really big for loss. His positioning mistake in game 1 cost C9 the game. Good opportunity for him to make up for that here.
It is indeed, as we're getting into game number 3 between Dignitas Challengers and Cloud9 Challengers. We will see who takes that next step in this best of 5. Both teams reuniting for our grand finals after a long, hard road here in our spring split. Having met in the upper finals, Dignitas took that win, and now Cloud9 trying to get a little bit of revenge.
Now, as we're taking a look at this one more time, the big thing that I'm kind of looking at, right, is with Dignitas being so physical damage focused, one, it allows XU to actually be a relevant damage source for almost the entire game, but also because you basically have 2.5 marksmen coming out, they don't really ever like drop off a ton in damage, even if you build a ton of armor on the side of Cloud9. So Dignitas will have some scaling threats. The Tristana is there, the Jace is there, and this definitely feels like a game where the Draven can even hit, so it doesn't really ever fall off.
Tristana, like, into all these beefy frontliners, you do feel like you want items as Trist, but yeah, when you get that LDR, that Phantom Dancer, that IE, Trist will be pumping in this game. So I think that's a good call out, the fact that, yeah, it is a lot of AD, but it's not like Dig doesn't have scaling options.
And it's interesting to see Dignitas go for 3 games in a row of the Draven for spawn, right? It's not a pick we saw necessarily come to fruition last game, but it's something they're willing to try to, you know, flip the coin on and see if you get a lead on this Draven, the things you can do with it, the power we've seen with him when he got gold in game number 1. And it's an interesting duality how they're trying to approach this game number 3 as well.
Yeah, it is worth noting here as well that Insanity choosing to go with the lethal tempo as opposed to the press the attack or the hail of blades, not nearly as lane focused. This definitely feels more like a Tristana that is going to be trying to scale up later on into the game. And it is also looking, both junglers going to be going towards the top side, no attention being paid.
They know where the party is.
You can dive Renekton on 3 with Jace. You can set this up, so we'll see if Hoon is able to manage the wave well enough to maybe get that opening for the side of Dignitas, because actually he is going for the clear that will get him top the fastest. And the real question is, does Tomio match after the red buff?
Yeah. I mean, XU doing the Gromp, as you said, can be there almost right away. Also worth noting that we always look at this Gragas, how well it actually performs in the mid lane is going to be...
We get spotted.
Yeah, largely based on how much experience you have on this. Our older players have been doing quite well, but as XU goes in, potentially looking for a dive, does get spotted on that ward, knows he's spotted instead. Maybe looking for Tomio.
This is good from Tomio. I like how Tomio's wrapping up his clear here at the Krogus and even had a sapling to find the Elise, so Tomio actually
bringing Insanity up.
Well. Yeah.
This is going to be an early attempt at a dive towards top side. Looks like it's been dissuaded knowing that Tomio is there. Don't necessarily want to give as much pressure in the mid lane to Diplex as well.
I want to give Tomio credit again. This is another clear where you're going up against the Elise. I think we saw in game 1, you know, they thought they were going to go for a bot dive. He hovered, he sacrificed some of his camps. This time around, though, Tomio, I think he's ending on the correct side of the map to try and protect from this dive, but also he's ahead of camp. So I think this early game for Tomio, it's really tough to play out this matchup as the Maokai, and Tomio, again, is managing it well.
Yeah, but at the same time, XU coming all the way up here, telling you see how far back he has to stand. He's trying not to steal any of Fake God's experience, and that does give Hoon a 2-wave advantage already early on in this game. Bottom lane, Spot and Diamond doing just fine. Not quite as far ahead, but they're also not getting the same kind of allocation of resources coming out from their jungler, and that does mean that it is going to be XU continuing to live in Tomio's jungle, who's just now back here.
He is, and I'm wondering how they kind of use a little bit of this pressure, because in game number 1, it was XU kind of looking for traps all over the place, right? A lot of this mid and bot kind of bounce between, but this game particularly, you're still looking for a lot of those early advantages. And I love that he's trying to put a little bit of focus on where Cloud9 maybe want to get an advantage for Fake God, but now we're looking back towards these kind of objective timers that we've actually seen take pretty heavy priority so far in the series. Now for Dignitas being or at least trying to get some vision down for it.
Yeah. We have been seeing a lot of vision invades going on throughout the course of the season. Concepts was talking a lot about it. Actually, he's done a good job tracking exactly where Tomio is, but it's not it's not as though Tomio is going for any of these big plays. He's just trying to stop the plays coming through from XU. And it is worth noting that already, just under 5 minutes in, Dignitas up about 600 gold. So much of that can again be attributed to the pressure that XU has been putting on the map and allowing his lanes to play really far forward.
It actually looks like we're going for a second full clear. Yeah, it's a pretty good combo, I'd say there. Hoon finally getting unleashed on the Jace. Yeah, tough task to deal with for Fake God, but also around those objectives like we were talking about. A lot of that pre-poke coming through. We get Diamond on his first roam towards mid lane.
Does he actually find anything? For anyone who's trying to actually learn Jace, that's like the real damage combo you always want to do. You just like walk around and hammer for a second, then you jump in, transform back, and you get the last damage as they start running away, right? You usually end it with the accelerated shock blast. So good stuff coming out from Hoon. He has been praised a lot for his laning phase so far, and is definitely beating up Big Gun.
Curious to see Insanity actually starting with the Vamp Scepter, trying to match some of the innate sustain that Gragas has in his kit with that passive. Wondering if that's going to end up being a first item BT, or if he does go Kraken Slayer. I think Kraken Slayer is still the no-brainer option on the Triss, but just some keep your eyes on, as it is a little bit of a quieter early game. And I think important to note, I mean, Elise still hasn't really rotated out those top camps. That blue buff is still sitting there for the side of Dignitas, so I find kind of funny.
Hip legs.
Got some shoes on all 8 feet. We'll see if that can help out. Then Insanity gets something. That was a big buster shot. Tomio getting low first blood for XU. And the Spider is feasting today.
Great awareness from Insanity to turn it right on around. Tomio flashes forward, but not under turret this time. Tomio goes down early on.
And I love that read from Insanity. I mean, that just shows these guys have played this composition. They know their limits. Everything was blown
right bot lane.
Now
the trouble ain't stopping now as Lost goes to XU. A second kill for the Dignitas Challengers jungler.
And look at all the minions that are being lost to the AD carry. Another plate getting picked up. Spawn doesn't cash in, but man, that is some gold going over to Dignitas.
This is big too, because with all this action going on mid, going on bot, guess what? Hoon still had his own devices in the top side. He has a small lead. That's the one time of the matchup where Renekton can kind of win against the Jace.
They wanted this.
Good. And again, yeah, this... you said it, Josh. They didn't get him into the turret. And with everything blown out of the Tomio, I love the focus from Dig. Insanity says, he's level 4. He blew everything. That's where my explosive shot's going. Just make sure we blow up the Maokai. And then XU, no jungle on the map. They had this bot dive set up the entire time, able to make it connect.
Yeah, great stuff. Going over to XU as well means that they will be relevant for a lot longer into the game. And also knowing their limits, like, yeah, we're not going to hit Zeyzal. We already want the plate. Let's just deny this and get out of here.
All right, so the recovery, C9 were able to get Dragon off the back half of that because Dignitas had to reset, spend that gold. But they'll take that 2.5k gold lead to be down a Dragon. And also with C9 making that play, should open up a window for Dignitas to go take that Herald, given the mid lane priority, and Jace being ahead of this matchup on the top side.
And you got to take the opportunity to highlight XU, who has had such a heckin' journey, it feels like, over these last couple of years. And last year, not being a part of that finals roster and having this moment to really prove themselves coming through here and having a lot of the eggs given to his basket, right? We've seen a lot of aggressive jungle plays coming through already in this series.
Yeah, he took the opportunity last year when Dignitas offered players to potentially move up, and he was like, yeah, I want to have the chance. I want to be playing with the LCS roster. I want to get the practice there. And coming right on back, it has been a journey for XU to try and find his way back up into that top tier of junglers. This Elise giving him so much agency has been a strong argument for it.
I think that XU, again, this split, like these Dignitas players, they really want to prove themselves. I know that LCS time after the River acquisition from Golden Guardians wasn't the best for this team, but these were players that they felt like last year they could legitimately win Proving Grounds with their academy team. They had the opportunity to do so this year with Diamond instead of JJ, making the most of it as XU. I mean, just running that highway route, right? Mid the bot. He gets something there, and now Rift Herald should be opened up off of the map, but Zeyzal is here. It is matched by Diamond, and I think that's going to be enough to force C9 away.
And when you start seeing Cloud9 at their strength, it's when Zeyzal gets out onto the map with Tomio. We've said that already a lot in this series, and now we're getting to that moment where Cloud9 are able to use this trio that has been so effective in Tomio, Diplex, and Zeyzal.
Yeah. They're an ult.
Speaking of effectiveness, try to get a little bit of something onto Insanity there.
Each support's kind of trying to leech 6 off this wave. Not to mention just get prio for the Herald. Funnily enough, though, XU actually dipping because they could always dive bot again. I think putting behind the Zeri is worth it.
Big God doesn't have a way out of this one. We got a 1v1 between the top laners, but it's not going to end up in much. You can't hit that accelerated shock blast.
I think this is worth. So Herald is matched by C9 while all this is going on. Dig says, you know what? That Renekton's big enough. We're a little scared.
Oh! Solo bolo for the fake god of Cloud9!
That is huge coming through. He was down so far, down 30 CS before that happened. He gets another wave in, and Hoon just not expecting the burst coming through. The press the attack pops, and Fake God takes him down.
That is a mistake from Hoon. I still have to say, Dignitas have denied Zeri multiple waves and gotten Draven 2 plates while all this is going down. So I feel like it's a bit of an even trade with where the gold is at the moment, and we're going to have to see what C9 can get out of this Rift Herald to make the big difference. Putting Zeri behind, though, think about the composition. It is Meatballs plus Zeri. The fact that Zeri lost waves XP from that, I think is still worth it for Dignitas, but who not respecting that? Big play from Fake God against his old team taking down their top laner right now.
And it relieves a lot of pressure there as well.
Unforced error. All right, that's the big thing, right? That was an unequivocal win looking like for Dignitas, but it is a spot where Fake God, you know, it's not as though the matchup is over. Hoon is still going to be scaling quite well. Has
right home now, you can just walk away.
Yeah, has already picked up a play up in the top side, is now shifting down towards the bottom side as well.
And it's going to be that Gorge Rinker Jace, given all the melees that he's playing up against. So his ability to use Hammer Form, abuse Conqueror, and Gorge Rinker, this is a much different Jace build, much more a brawler status here for Hoon, as he's going to kind of act as that pseudo frontliner in this game.
And I do like this moment here. Spawn had backed, gotten that Kraken Slayer pickup here. Dignitas were looking to see if anybody overextends into this far side tower from Cloud9. They want to try to capitalize on the item spike. They want to try to get Spawn a little bit of gold, or at least pick out somebody from Cloud9. And while it will be responded to, I believe that tower should go down in the end.
Give it to Hoon.
We'll get the tower gold given to Hoon, but we also get a little bit of play on the other side from Cloud9.
It is a bit of a race. They're going to try and get that gold injection back into the Zeri. On the side of C9, they're going to drop Herald after this plate. I got to say, first brick, C9, they're losing the wave.
And
but
Dignitas get their
yeah, they're going to ult the waves. I think that's enough.
I mean, the resistances that come through after you take all those plates is insane. Dignitas do prevent the turret from going down, but so do Cloud9. Fake God down here on the bottom side of the map. This is still a window where Fake God with the lethality can fight.
I was about to say, again, it's going to be that lethality of Renekton. I think that's the right call this game. Every target that Renekton can get on is going to feel like a good one for him, so that extra mobility of the Prowler's Claw and trying to have that one shot with PTA, I think it's the best spec for Fake God. He played it damn well in Game 1 yesterday against Team Liquid Challengers. He was the big difference in that one. Behind a little bit in this one. It's been good landing from Hoon, but we'll see if he can bounce back, make a big impact on this game.
Yeah, and with the Dragon already spawning for the second one in this game, we do see that it is the top laners who are down on the bottom side of the map. And Dignitas, they do still have XU potentially chilling for that. Should be able to look for the Dragon if they want it.
Yeah, it's all Dignitas' Dragon.
Yep.
Renekton can't move up at the moment. He needs items. He needs that Prowler's Claw until he's effective. So, although that said, it's kind of weird having Spawn on his lonesome up here. Yeah, I like the Nature's Grass. It's really good, really good.
Exhaust coming through Spawn. You've seen this story before. He's got 3 members on him, and there you go. Dark Path straight out. Oh, loss. That's a big clutch back to Flay. Diamond is single-handedly dissuading a 3-man gank in topside. First tower eventually went down to Dignitas.
Great stuff coming through from Dignitas. We were looking at an unequivocal win before. That is all Dignitas all over the map. Hoon jumps in a little bit, but again, Diamond going for the aggressive play, catching loss. Great instant cleanse, only thing that gets him out of the fight.
Priority just skyrocketed as well for those Dragon stackings as we have the Infernal Soul on the Rift. And you imagine Dignitas with all that damage you were already talking about, Joshi, they get that Soul, it's going to be even more impeccable.
I just love the trade from Diamond. Like, the fact that he goes flash for flash with loss, right? Like, sometimes it's just the little things. Like, knowing that, hey, my resource versus your resource, even much more valuable if I get yours out. Really nice from Diamond. I like that look from C9. It was appropriate given the map state, but Diamond there just in time to not only get spawn out, but get way more back for Dignitas than what they should have had.
Yeah, we'll get to see. Insanity does look to be going over towards that Kraken Slayer. They are sitting on the Vamp Scepter right now, but not necessarily going to be sitting on the Mythic for a couple of members of Dignitas just quite yet, but still a very big lead as we get close to the 15-minute mark, Lennon.
And we're getting a little bit of movement here. Diamond and Spawn obviously going to respond to that lane swap for Cloud9, but there is going to be another Rift Herald coming up very shortly.
And I've got to say, for Dignitas, I know that they have this, pick, poke with Elise Thresh. What I love about this draft, too, their ability to side lane this game, Jace, plus this Kraken Slayer, Tristana, who's, I could go for a BT second. How does C9 move either of those with the draft they have? It's going to be really tough. So Dignitas, their ability to stretch the map in the mid game, I think could be really big for them. Something that, again, I think Dig has a lot of creative ways to win off the early games, so we'll see if they can pilot this well enough to make it happen, but it definitely is a higher level of execution, but Dig has proven today and in the past that they are up to that bar of execution.
Yeah, and with no turret down on the bottom side, we are seeing another engage from Cloud9. This turret's almost dead.
Ultra Shock Laser does go through. XQ's right here, though. They really just want to get the power down. There's the TP. The Lightning Crash as well. The Whirling Death. I don't think it saves you today, Spawn, though. He gets out. Now TP on the back. You're trying to flash away, but there ain't no flashing. As now that Repel actually gets him over to Diplex to give over the kill. And a shutdown to the mid laner of Cloud9 Challengers.
What a trap from Cloud9 saying, we see you looking for this fight. We're going to wait for the turret to be dead before we start the teleport to come through. Cloud9 perfectly reads what it was that Dignitas wants and turns it around.
They need the Death Ball. That's what C9 has to do, and that's what we saw them do so well yesterday against Team Liquid as well. Like, they were overextending on side lane turrets. This time, it's overextending to protect a side lane turret that was about to fall. Spawn doesn't have sums. They send the kitchen sink, and it's well worth it for them.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot that Spawn can really do. Tomio once again picking the great target, and a couple of teleports being expended here by Dignitas end up getting them nothing in return. Hoon even has to flash in order to not go down to the flank coming through from Diplex. A big swing. That's 2,000 gold that Cloud9 picked up off of that play.
And importantly, a lot of that gold did go into the pockets of Loss. Therefore, the turret, therefore the fight. Loss was able to play that one well as the big, meaty front line. They were front to backing, making life real hard for Dignitas, and C9 going to keep up that momentum, utilize that to take mid priority and the Herald.
And I love that because they use that crash in topside. They use a little bit of that play preemptively before the objective comes up to make sure that they can secure those objectives. That's something we've seen so strongly from them today, represented from Cloud9.
I think Dignitas, they got to pay a little bit more respect to C9. C9 from here on out, they're going to be trying to 4-1 and utilizing Tomio's ult to just try and find plays, continuously engage. Diamond has to find the hovers to save people from Nature's Grasp, but also Dignitas has to use their side lanes to try and get a lead, utilize that to get into the jungle of C9 and actually find those pockets of vision that we saw be so good for Dignitas with a very similar comp in Game 1.
Yeah, and with the mid lane turret still standing, it's so hard to create those opportunities to move between side lanes one after another. We saw when Dignitas did take this down in Game 1, really helped them out in terms of their ability to move around the map, and that's part of why we see Dignitas. They've been having XU hover this mid lane for the past couple of minutes, but so has Tomio. And when you're playing up against Zeri and Meatballs, and Zeri has already picked up a lot of that money, it's a lot harder for Spawn to actually force. Still has not picked up an opportunity to get that magic gold infusion. Is only at 100.
And he lost a lot of those stacks too.
Yeah.
But we'll see as they try to hover around mid lane at least. And as that dragon spawns about 30 seconds, Dignitas definitely want to put a little bit more presence into that. They do have their first item spikes across the board for that double ADC comp. But again, as we know for ADCs, second, third item is really where you're looking at that big spike to come through. They'll try to get this though. Nature's Grasp coming across. Insanity using the rocket jump. They will catch out Diamond though, and he's brought back to the rest of the team. Look how far they moved him to the back, and he goes right down.
David stepping up really far there. Ends up being Diamond that actually sacrifices the life. Doesn't have an opportunity to leave. And that should be another dragon potentially going through. And Cloud9 looking to open up the middle of the map. The more room, the fewer outer turrets that are around, the easier it is to actually play this Deathfall.
It just feels like when Dignitas approached that one, they were at the front of the line and immediately got pushed to the back because of the body slam plus the knockback from the Bramble Smash and Tomio.
How big is Malachi been today for C9? Like, the fact that every Nature's Grasp they can just force, and also this scouting that Malachi brings at this part of the game to, try and prevent Dignitas from finding those pockets of vision that are so important to their composition. It's been a huge pick that Tomio's playing well. It's what's breaking the composition for Dignitas and Dig. They've won it through 3 games. I'm really surprised.
And it plays so handily to the way that Cloud9 want to play the game. It is about the mid to late game setup. If they can set up around objectives, that's exactly their bread and butter because they have that decisiveness and it's working so well for them. It has not been denied and they are perfectly fine going for this constantly because it sets up moments like this where you catch out Hoon in the side lane. Zeyzal will throw up that Cloud9 emote and that's all that's left down here in the bot lane as he picks up the kill too.
Great kill coming through from Cloud9. Yeah, Tomio's just been instrumental in everything that Cloud9 has actually been trying to do. I thought it was interesting comparing this series to last series that we saw Cloud9 play. Team Liquid said, yeah, we're not going to ban any of Tomio's champions. You give him the Maokai, you give him the Sejuani, it's all the same stuff. And now, I mean, Dignitas, they've been putting a lot of bans towards him. It means that things like the Zarya are getting through, and now with 4 assists, a kill, and the extra turret gold, it's not like Lost is going to be weak on this champion. He's going to have so much pressure.
I mean, he's got that Runeans completed, and Tomio, I mean, he continues to blitz the map, doing it up against his old coach and ZZ too, over on the side of Dignitas, both those people in the EG camp this past year, as Tomio, I mean, honestly, big glove for him. Like, he has been the player we've been the most critical of, if anyone, on C9 at times, and he's been fantastic today. This Maokai has been so big, and Tomio's playing it very well.
He hasn't just been fantastic today, he's been fantastic this entire split. This whole time over Cloud9, it feels like he's been a different beast. It feels like, yes, he has been controlled a lot by what they look for in the early game and trying to get to that directive and give out resources later on for their team, but I think the difference for me is the fact that he is in a positive structure environment, right? You see so much brightness come out from this guy, where last year on the EG, you didn't necessarily see him giving it to a lot of his strengths. I think we've seen that a lot more this year, even through the trials and tribulations of Cloud9.
Feels like a different animal and the same beast. Thank you, Kobe Bryant.
Thank you, Kobe Bryant. As yeah, I think it is true to its nature, though, right? I think that's where Cloud9 have now become this very strong team in this best of, just in its own right, because you saw them bounce back from that game 1. We saw them stick to a lot of the same principles that they were bringing into the draft and just find different ways to execute it.
And now we'll see what else Tomio can really bring to this game, right? He has been so good. He has a flash up again. Yeah. Spawn has really been struggling to play up against Tomio with flash. Hoon is also at a spot where you just jump on that character, and even though there's a lot of damage coming out from the Jays, it's not as though they have a lot of defensive tools. They will go down very, very quickly. And Dignitas feels as though we are once again looking at a game where we are waiting for Insanity in particular to scale into this one, be the guy who can just blow up all of these frontline members.
We're one step closer. We got second items. You got the Bloodthirst. You got the IE completed for Insanity and Spawn, respectively. But it's about using those little spikes and finding ways into the map. And again, we've seen Cloud9 do really well when they set up with the Nature's Grasp from Tomio around these objectives. And now you can see them coming, clear out some vision.
Yeah. It definitely has been an interesting split from Insanity as well, right? We know that he got sick towards the end of the regular season and ended up, you know, kind of falling out of our potential contention for the most valuable prospect, but really found the stride again when it came towards the playoffs. And so now, as we find ourselves in the finals, Insanity was the one member last split who we were looking at during the series versus Team Liquid in 2022 summer that really stepped up, carried a single game. Yeah. I want to see that version of David Chaw come back. They were close with the Aurelion Soul.
They really were. It was almost a moment to bring doom upon Cloud9, but now in this third game, Dignitas still in a little advantage, aren't necessarily in the place they want to be. They needed a lot more of something to kind of bridge XU into this late game, get these double ADCs set up in a bright position. They haven't been able to find that just yet.
Fine.
If you want, if you want a 5v5 at this point of the game as Dignitas' comp, you need like 3-4k gold lead. I think that they're behind. They just need to stress the map and see what happens there. And right now, Lost, he's pretty far up. XU.
One big cocoon.
Yeah, at least going to try and find a little bit of a chunk, but Zeyzal has the jump. And full control still to C9. They can keep on playing around these saplings, make life really difficult for Dignitas to clear out the vision and contest this upcoming Dragon.
And speaking of Dragon, about 35 seconds there, you see Cloud9 trying to push out of mid lane, get some vision down here. Big thing for Dignitas when you start seeing these objective contests. It is about getting poked down beforehand and using that to find a strength in the 5v5.
Now, good thing from Dig here is that Jace was able to get bot lane in deep. So you can see Dignitas, instead of playing through mid, they will be playing through bot with Insanity catching mid and having to link up later. That is good from Dignitas, as Hoon actually burning his TP to get back here, try and get some poke down early.
Ooh, goes for a serrated Dirk and the Merc treads there. Not necessarily going for the Cyrilda's Grudge. His Diamond potentially getting caught.
Dangerous
Tomio throws it
grasp
out.
again. This puts Dignitas on the back foot every time.
Flowers?
And now you get the Dominus pop. There's the hook in though onto Zazel. Zazel's getting low, but he has the Unbreakable. Insanity has now joined the fight. They've got to get Fake God out of there. The Death Sentence does not connect, but there's the big cast. The Whirling Death comes through and does a decent amount of damage, but both teams bloody, not down.
It was big that Hoon burned TP already, as Hoon can't go back and TP into this.
There's the
fight.
poke though. That's what you need.
It is. I mean, Zazel does have to reset. Dignitas,
They get on the
though,
other side.
Their health bars are still not great for this.
Yeah.
Gotta be a little bit careful.
Insanity has so much HP. He's the one who's still moving around, and Zazel just now resetting.
This is a bit finicky from Dig though. We'll try to get a little bit more poke from Hoon, who does not have a lot of health, just has to sit on the back line. Cloud9 will move up. They have Zazel coming in here now. Oh my god,
Doesn't
that's
have
a lot to
enough
do.
HP.
Oh, that's bad.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Ditpux has got him out. C9 got it. Really well done from Ditpux and C9 to put that soul in the back half.
They're trying to go in now on Insanity. Buster Shot comes through as Diplex pretty tanky there, his own right. That will be the third dragon of the game for Cloud9 Challengers.
Like the look from Insanity, but Diplex just a bit too tanky now, and the turret does stand as well. A third dragon, like you said, coming through. Hoon with no teleport.
He's just pulling it willy-nilly now.
Speculative ult at best coming through from Tomio, but not going to be catching on to Diamond that
I
time.
like it. They're on a reset. Might as well fish.
Yeah,
there's going to be no
absolutely.
play coming up. If there's any time to fish, that's fine. And again, if you force the C9, this death ball is so big. Now, big thing for Dignitas, they preserve the majority of their flashes there. That is important for going back to the 1-3-1. They have to protect Hoon, though. Hoon is the one that's missing flash, so Hoon now has to play on the weaker side of playing out the 3 lanes. Again, we'll see if C9 is able to attack these side lanes and also just attack the mid trio as they continue to put Dignitas on the back foot. Even gold game, C9's very far ahead given the drafts right now.
Yeah. But it doesn't stay that way, right? Dignitas still have Insanity, looking for a third item. And that's going to be the big thing that I'm going to be looking for when the Infinity Edge comes through from Insanity. That could be a big make or break moment.
See, that's a question. I do LDR first. I think given who you were hitting with the Renekton, Maokai plus the Braum, I think LDR actually might be the move.
I mean, Renekton has no armor.
He just grabbed the BF sword and the quick cloak, so it's definitely he wants the swords,
you
all
want
right,
both.
guys?
No armor. They're getting more armor. It's coming in soon. Yeah,
You don't need armor
yeah.
when you're swinging 2 big swords.
That's
all right?
kind of why I'm a little bit surprised that Hoon's going for the serrated Dirk here. I really would have liked to see the Cyrilda's Grudge come through,
Yeah.
but choosing to go with a serrated Dirk. I'm curious what this builds into. Probably the Yomus after that, but it is Dignitas. Kind of going back to a very similar game plan they had in Game 1. They did find enough picks with it last time around to actually find themselves the game. That was so much off the back of Diamond Cloud9. I mean, they play so many of these games as just like a full pressure game. But it has been a spot where they have had a couple of moments where they slipped up. Team Liquid were punishing them in these long situations. But Dignitas, just as we were saying, not finding the same kind of successful flanks.
Not just yet, but they still have a lot to live for here. Very close game we have in is fitting for our third game. See who steps up 2-1 in this series. But as a whole right now, Cloud9 feeling very confident in their big group. And it's Dignitas who are really on the foot to try and do something, be proactive.
I love seeing C9 go full armor. Of course, Luis is that solo magic damage. Luis doesn't have enough to carry everything, so I think ignoring the Luis damage, going full armor to try and prevent this double marksman from going off is the right call here from C9. Again, continue to make really smart decisions with what they have in their inventories and also how they're playing out the map, as they're going to continue to try and use these saplings to get control back over this portion. As Diamond,
he's pulling the trigger again, man. That's all you got to do every single time, and especially if they catch out the support, the only tanky member of the team. And Diamond's already going down to Lost. XU should be quick to follow. You got a 1v1 in the side lane, but it's 2 quick kills to Cloud9 Challengers, all onto Lost as the solo goes down again. Fake God!
Oh, this is looking so much like yesterday at this point. We are seeing, though, that Fake God wins the 1v1 this time. And Cloud9 turning directly onto the Baron. Dignitas, they just feel a little bit lost at this point. They didn't get enough of a lead. The turnaround, the top lane play with the teleports nullified everything they were doing this game.
What a big game for Fake God. I know that he said in yesterday's interview he felt like why C9 had to go through the lower bracket partly was because of his play into Hoon, that Hoon got the best of him. Fake God this game, though, on that Renekton, he has been massive. It was the kill that turned things around at the top lane, and he's kept that Jace down for the majority of the game since then.
And we've been talking about solo kills in a hot conversation all season long, and hey, represent with 2 of them in this one so far. So a really, really strong performance from Fake God. Again, you talked a little bit about that history from yesterday, a little bit of that self-reflection rather, and it really has been impressive how he's been willing to take this Renekton in this 3rd matchup as well.
That's big. I mean, he's doing it into a team that beat him already in this tournament. It is his old org in Dignitas, and Fake God, his comeback, the split, it continues. I know a grand finals victory would mean a lot for him and C9, of course, and I mean, they're putting the finishing touches on being 1 game away from doing so, 45 seconds away from the Dragon. C9 already have full control.
And speaking of control, Cloud9, they have 3 item spikes coming across for Diplex, for Lost, specifically Lost. Now you do get that 3rd item completion for Insanity, waiting on that 3rd for Spawn, and you will have the weapons to utilize for both sides coming into this big Dragon fight that Dignitas have to be at.
Yeah, it's still fascinating to watch this game, right? We know these teams have been scrimming each other so much, but Cloud9 consistently the ones who are getting to the Dragons first. Zeyzal leading the charge there, and now
there you go. That's all you gotta do every time. You just pull the trigger, and Dignitas had to run away. He missed the cleanse. We'll see if that does lead out to anything else. That will be a big summoner spell down burn. Diplex going forward on X. You can't find it. There's the Glacial Fissure, though. Death Sentence onto Zeyzal. The Whirling Death. They found Insanity, but he does rocket jump out of there. Oh my goodness. You thought they nerfed that Ultra Shock Laser. They didn't nerf it enough. Thank God! He gets a shutdown on the loss there. And Cloud9 have pounced.
And Fake God is popping off. Yet another opportunity for the Renekton to come up big stuns and just constantly finding people. He catches out Insanity this time. That was the player that needed to be strong in order to go for some of these fights, but it is Dignitas. They are crumbling around the map, and it's Fake God leading the charge.
Every champion in the game is a good target for Prowler's Claw Renekton. Fake God's taking away 3/4 of their HP with a combo between the Empowered W, Bork, and Prowlers. The fights are ending before they start. Like, given how tanky C9 is, that engaged in upfront damage, it's so lethal.
Yeah, and I love that they did this in the draft, right? They took this away from Dignitas when they had the early pick of the Elise. They knew what they wanted, but then they opted to it, and they execute on it as well. That is the beauty, and that is what this competition has wrought us here as another Nature's Gas comes across. It feels like an Ash ult at this time. 45-second cooldown. Who as another turret goes down? That'll be a tier 2 to Cloud9, and they're 5th of the game.
Yeah, a huge lead coming up for Cloud9 at this point. It doesn't matter. It feels like that Insanity and Spawn are already on 3 items. They have nobody to stand in front of them to actually be the tank, so they can just free hit the entire time. Dignitas have not been able to find any of the same opportunities that they did in Game 1. The Viger pick being gone, the Renekton pick being gone, just means that the crowd control isn't there, the front line isn't there, and Dignitas is looking like we're going to be going to at least a 4th game with Cloud9 leading.
See if Dignitas can get something back here. As Diplex,
They got a fish at this point.
we'll find a cast there on the XU. And again, there's really no tanks on Dignitas, so they got to be really careful. The damage goes down. Unbreakable. They're stopping the Whirling Death from
they're
Spawn.
teleporting?
They're going to TP into this one. They've got a little bit of pressure here, maybe trying to get some poke down onto Cloud9 as they leave. But Dignitas do survive for the moment.
Dig have to fish. They're down a soul. They're down 4K gold. They need to be up significantly to even think about being ahead of this point of the game. So I think Dignitas reaching wasn't the worst angle for them. They got a couple tools out. They got a stopwatch out of a decent member. But again, I think big difference in this game. Like, you got to deal with the Maokai, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's Fake out, but also this Maokai pick. It's been way too good. If they want to play Elise Thresh, Maokai can break that so easily. I think running it through for another game, it says a lot about how Dig likes to play as a team, because they want to play early game. They want to play in your face. You can abuse Maokai through that. But the value that C9 is getting from it later, it's so big. It's been game-breaking.
And one of the biggest things for me that I always look out for is in these double ADC compositions, you have a lot of risk. Yes, there's a lot of reward, but you have to put your neck out there, and you see it capitalized on so many times where you have a lot more of a stable composition from Cloud9, a lot easier to execute, and they're doing so against Dignitas.
Yeah. And we will see whether or not Dignitas kind of goes back to this. It feels as though the Draven's kind of been broken. Lost and Zeyzal have come out ahead in these games again, and can't defend this.
You use the long con here. The cast comes through again, and you're looking at a wombo combo from Dignitas. Well, the Cloud9 challengers have one of their own, as another tower does fall, be it a tier 2, and now all that's left are the inhib towers for Dignitas.
Yeah, good mouse precision for XU to actually click on the lantern when he does come down, does save his own life, but look at this, Cloud9, they're just moving up, they're just kind of waiting for this Baron buff to actually spawn, corral Dignitas into their own base so that there are no teleport wards for Insanity or Rahoon to make use of, and Dignitas, they can't even play in the third lane. We were saying that they might be the team to 1-3-1, but when your side lanes are this far behind, doesn't matter.
This game's doomed to get deathballed on. I don't know how Dignitas can withstand the meatiness of C9 at this point. How far behind their carries are as another cast comes out.
How does he have it up so
Buying
fast?
space for Lost. Nature's Grasp will be up in the next wave if C9 wants to stick around, but with Baron coming up on the table, maybe they think about going towards that. And they could just get the next wave in deep and then think about it. C9, it's so tough to walk into them. Like, I think Fake God one-shots you.
They have another Nature's Grasp available from Tomio, and he's stepping up now as well. The big thing is, when we came into this, is said Dignitas have some decent poke. They have some decent ways to get some damage down ahead of time. Well, looks like if that damage is enough, Zazel goes down to spawn. Spawnling finally cashes in. It might be a little too late, but they at least get something back and even up the fight for now.
They got to push. Send it. Why not? I think this game is really bad for Dig. I really want to see how much more they can try to find here. Because, I mean, someone's off the map. I know it's just the support, but you didn't burn much for that. It's playable for Dig. They have to try and take control of space, but look at how tough it is against Gragas Maokai.
Yeah, they have so many ultis up available too.
Diamond needs to start looking for these hooks. You just got to go for broke at this point. And Diamond, he's trying to play so far forward. He knows this is their one window.
The Infernal Soul with the saplings, the cask, it does so much damage. I was trying to mention the poke earlier for Dignitas. Well, Cloud9 have done it.
Doesn't actually throw it out. I was wondering if Cloud9 were going to feel frisky enough to throw that one out, but they are the only ones left around the Baron. Zazel is back alive. Dignitas, they feel like they need to spend their money, but that's conceding the big purple worm. That's probably conceding the Elder.
I love how Diplex was holding the chokes there, and again, combining that with the Maokai. So tough for Dig to find the space. Great patience. And you can see the veterancy of both of these teams with C9 just knowing, hey, we have all the advantages in the world. Just walk backwards, use all of our slows, buy the time to get everyone back in the map, and still walk away with the big objective. And we'll now have Baron buff in time for Elder to spawn here in a minute.
Now, I'm
2 minutes and 40 seconds.
I'm not a superstitious guy, but I'm just saying that Dignitas have not won a game when Dignitas wasn't wearing his coat.
When Dignitas when Hoon wasn't wearing
when Hoon was not wearing the coat. I mean, it was looking as good.
Yeah, put the jacket back, man. Get him a frap, get him something.
Winter Hoon.
Oh, he does swap over to the Cyril's Grudge, you know, at least get a little bit of Frosty coming through there. This is kind of their last opportunity. This is supposed to be the big spike for Hoon.
C9's going to get mid and deep. We'll see if they even look at the Elder. They probably don't want to risk flipping it, and they can just take the base on their own. As C9, again, so far ahead at this point. Yeah, it's a 4K Goldie, but given the drafts, given the comps, C9 busting through these objectives, that's the first inhibitor is going to fall.
We'll be taking it nice and reserved. I will say Spawn and Insanity are both on their 4th items now. See if that makes any difference in terms of damage. We have seen that their damage does stick pretty heavily if they can make it in, but it's the Nature's Grasp that comes up every couple minutes. That is the most difficult thing for them to deal with. And you see some of that poke from the Infernal Soul that comes through.
Yeah, and you see the counter shot coming through from Hoon, lands on the Lost. It's like, okay, let me go hit the minion wave. And
thanks, Zeri.
Thanks,
Diamond needs to go for it. He tries to make the desperate play, but it's in desperation that Dignitas find their weaknesses, and it's Cloud9 with the front to back that Dignitas don't have any part of. That'll be 3 kills going over, only 2 left, and it's the double ADCs. How fitting, but there's not anything for them to do.
That is 7 games in a row. Cloud9 have not lost a front-to-back team fight this entire time, and Dignitas, they are backs against the ropes. This Maokai is a problem, and Cloud9 moving to match point and tournament point.
Match point in our grand finals as well, Cubby. A nice finish for Cloud9 in Game 3.
And I gotta say, you know, when you're looking to win a title, a lot of the times, you know, we talk a lot about the stars. And the stars of C9, they have been Diplex and the bot lane. But if you really want to win a title, it's about role players.
It is.
Fake God and Tomio have stepped up so much in this series and that game. That's the big reason for me why they took that game 3. The fact that Fake God on this lethality Renekton was able to get ahead of Hoon, and we saw the upfront damage, how difficult it was for Dignitas to play things out when Hoon presses Prowler's Claw, someone's at 3/4 health and then dies. There was no answer for that.
Yeah, I thought Fake God getting those couple solo kills as well, getting a lot of strength through top lane, let Cloud9 play so well around the rest of the map, and getting to see them control those objectives. Again, you had said it in the cast. They were always there, point and present. They knew exactly what they needed to do, how they needed to put in place, and they executed so well. We'll see if Dignitas, backs against the ropes, can do anything to come back from this one and bring us to Game 5. On the other side of this break, we'll have another Rally Cry halftime show, so don't go anywhere.
Our pick for the most valuable prospect of spring 2023 is Mir. When we found out Mir was joining the league, the expectations were relatively high, given some of his experiences and accomplishments, but he still managed to surprise. Mir's early games were a highlight of his play this split. He led junglers in gold diff at 15, he was 4th in first blood percentages out of all junglers and was only a first blood victim one time. Mir consistently showed an ability to play towards win cons, whether that be for his laners or for himself.
We knew coming into the split, Mir was a mechanical talent with a killer Lee Sin. But with the meta being so different from what we know him for, we really got to see how intelligent of a jungler Mir is as well. The biggest compliment I can give Mir is his base level of play was so damn high and consistent. This guy rarely makes mechanical mistakes or poor decisions and is always an asset to his team. We believe Mir is an LCS level jungler. With his journey back through a developing region, now Challengers League, we think he's rounded out his gameplay to once again be able to compete at the highest level.